welcome back again to our ongoing series on our beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Let me begin. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Evishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Adishatane. All glories to our Srila Prabhupada. So, today we will continue with our discussion on the very historical coronation of Srimati Radharani as Queen of Vrindavan. I must admit some hesitancy to speak about Srimati Radharani because, as we all know, it's very deep and confidential subject matter. Actually, there are only a few mentions of Radharani in Vedic scriptures. As you know, even in our own Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam doesn't mention her directly, but rather as Aradhito or Aradhya, that gopi who gives the most pleasure to Krishna. Historically speaking, of course, some poets and writers like Jayadev Goswami did write about Sri Radha in previous times, but her full glories were only revealed by Lord Chaitanya and the six Goswamis 500 years ago. Now one might question, why did the world have to wait so long for her to be introduced to us? Well, our acharyas have commented that the Lord actually ordered Yogamaya to make those few portions of the Vedic scriptures describing her difficult to understand until the Lord himself appeared to reveal her glories as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, one of her names is Veda Gopya, meaning she who is hidden in the Vedas. So we should understand that this is one of the great contributions, amongst many, that Lord Chaitanya and his immediate followers gave to the world, revealing to us the glories of Srimati Radharani. Historically speaking, before the time of Lord Chaitanya, there were only deities of Krishna, not Radha Krishna. In earlier lectures, we discussed how the six Goswamis all found or came upon their worshipable deities. And for example, Sanatana Goswami, he found Madan Mohan alone. There was no Radharani. Rupa Goswami found Govindaji alone. Madhu Pandit found Gopinath alone at Vamsivat, etc. But in time, the six Goswamis wrote extensively about Srimati Radharani, and thus Janavamata, the wife of Lord Nityananda, she eventually established deities of Radharani for most of the Goswamis' deities. And the tradition has continued down to the present day. As we all know, it's our beloved Srila Prabhupada who established the worship of Radha and Krishna all over the world. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, as members of ISKCON, we never worship Krishna alone. We don't just have a deity of Krishna. We always worship him along with Sri Radha. Now, I found a very amazing verse in the Gopala Sahasranam Stotram. It's verse number 17, which goes so far as to say, Gora Tejo Vinayashtu Shaima Teja Samarchayat Chapadvadya Yate Vapi Nabhavet Patiki Shive. Quote, O Parvati, a person who worships, chants about, or meditates upon Shaimateja, the personality with the dark effulgence, Sri Krishna, without engaging in similar worship, chanting or meditation upon Gaurateja, the personality with a golden effulgence, meaning either Gaura or Srimati Radharani, either Gora or Srimati Radharani, both of whom have a golden effulgence, becomes extremely fallen. Let me recite that again. O Parvati, a person who worships, chants about, or meditates upon Shaimateja, the personality with a dark effulgence, Krishna, without engaging in similar worship, chanting, or meditation upon Gaurateja, the personality with a golden effulgence, meaning either Gora or Srimati Radharani, becomes extremely fallen. The import of this verse, of course, is that one should always worship Krishna with either Gora or Radha. So again, I hesitate to speak about Sri Radha's very deep subject matter, but I feel that we can do it with the permission of Srila Prabhupada. I came across a lecture of Srila Prabhupada last night, actually, where it's a Radhastami lecture, where in London, August 29th, 1971, Srila Prabhupada said, "These are, of course, very transcendental topics. It is a great science. Only one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness and well conversant with the Shastra can understand such things. But still, we can discuss from the Shastras, the scriptures. But still, we can discuss from the Shastra scriptures." When Krishna wanted to understand himself, he adopted the tendency of Srimati Radharani, and that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is a Radhastami lecture, and Prabhupada's saying this is a very deep subject matter. He said, but still, we can discuss from the scriptures. So I very humbly ask Srila Prabhupada's permission to continue with our coronation lectures. Name shashtra balam kinchan, nacha buddhi balam kachit, parvito bhalam ashritya, gurunam kevalam taham. Quote, I do not have any strength in understanding the Shastras, nor do I have any strength in my intelligence. I am engaged in this difficult task only after taking shelter of the strength of my Guru. So as I mentioned in our last lecture, I found information about Sri Radha's coronation from various sources, including Srila Jiva Goswami's Madhava Mahotsava, which Srila Prabhupada mentions in his purport to Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1085. He writes, as far as our information goes, Srila Jiva Goswami composed and edited at least 25 books. They are all very much celebrated, and they are listed as follows. And therein, Srila Prabhupada lists the books. And this scripture I'm referring to, Madhava Mahotsava, it's listed as number 7, wherein the coronation is described in detail. So, in our last lecture, we concluded just as the 9 principal coronation baths, the abhisheks, of Srimati Radharani were about to commence. So now, for the pleasure of all the devotees, we will describe each bath one by one. So Shastra says that the first abhishek, or bath, that the Brajabasis gave Sri Radha was with pure water poured from a ruby pot. And as the water poured over Sri Radha, quote, it appeared like fresh nectar descended from the full moon, flowing over a golden creeper like strings of fine pearls. It appeared like fresh nectar descended from the full moon, flowing over a golden creeper like strings of fine pearls. Now, let us remember that Krishna is sitting very close, very near to Sri Radha, observing this abhishek. So I was reading that as the water was being poured over Sri Radha, Krishna's friend, Shtoka Krishna, he joked, quote, "Krishna, you don't need to feel shy about stealing glances at Sri Radha. Why bother to suppress your love? Everyone is so absorbed in watching her that no one will even notice you." Hare Krishna. Then one gopi said to Sri Radha, "Radha, Krishna is staring at you, but don't look back at him even by mistake. In times like these, you can increase his loving affection for you by acting as though you're indifferent." So the acharyas say that during these baths, during these this abhishek, 9 baths, Radha and Krishna suppressed their loving ecstasies, fearing that the Brajabasis would detect their attraction for each other. We mentioned this in the last lecture. The acharyas say, in fact, that Yoga Maya had arranged the entire abhishek for the pleasure of the divine couple, but the divine couple, wary of exposing their innermost feelings, would not even dare to look at each other. Hare Krishna. So in the second bath, the goddess Uma and her associates came forward with a sun-red coral pot from which they poured golden water over Sri Radha's dense cloud-like hair, which then flowed down her moon-like face. But even though it covered her face, it's described, the water could not conceal her golden effulgence, which gradually spread throughout Umrao, where the coronation's taking place, touching everyone and everything with its color and its warmth. So while everyone was enchanted with Srimati Radharani's radiance, the cowherd boy, Vashanta, he said to Krishna, "Krishna, why be so shy? Everyone is blinded by Sri Radha's golden brilliance. Now your bumblebee eyes can now safely rest on her lotus face." Your bumblebee eyes can now safely rest on her lotus face. Third bath. Then Samja and Chaya performed this third bath using a pot made of pearls. And the water from that bath appeared like, quote, "rivers of grace flowing into an ocean of luster, youth, and beauty," which is Sri Radha. I'll recite that again. The water from this bath appeared like rivers of grace flowing into an ocean of luster, youth, and beauty. Then it's described that a contingent of ladies from the sun planet, and specifically it's mentioned, angels, fairies, and society girls, assisted by the 2 wives of Vivishwan, or they assisted the 2 wives of Vivishwan by ringing bells, banging gongs, chanting mantras, and blowing conch shells. In the midst of this, the cowherd boy Ujjvala teased Krishna. He said, "Krishna, Sri Radha's girlfriends have interpreted your reluctance to gaze upon their mistress as a sign of fear. And so they're laughing at you. How intolerable is this?" So Jiva Goswami makes a note at this point. He says, by this time, the entire bathing arena was flooded with divine Charnamrita. So then the 4th bath began. And in this bath, the personified rivers headed by Jamuna Devi came forth with a diamond-studded pot. And the rays of light reflecting off the pot created a halo over Sri Radha's head. And the waters in the pot glorified her by speaking these words. Now this is interesting. The waters are speaking. But this is Vrindavan, and we've discussed on a number of occasions how everything in Vrindavan is personal, or you could say personified. So the water's personified, the person. So in this special pot, the waters are addressing Srimati Radharani. They say, O Shri Radha, Krishna is the master of the three worlds and the treasure of Vaikuntha, but he serves you as his greatest wealth. Therefore, you are our supreme empress and our ultimate goal. All glories to you, Srimati Radharani. Number 5, fifth bath. In the fifth bath, Shamala Gopi came forward with a pot made of the gem called cat's eye. And as she poured the water over Srimati Radharani, she said to Vrindavan's queen, may this fifth bath, the liquid form of the fifth mellow, bestow upon you the fifth perfection. By that perfection, may you realize your innermost desire to have Krishna as an obedient, submissive lover. Now, when I read that, I, probably like you, I became curious as to what is the fifth mellow and what is the fifth perfection. So I researched, and I discovered that the fifth mellow is the mellow of love, and the fifth perfection refers to prakamya. Prakamya means the power to get anything that one wants. Hare Krishna. So then, sixth bath. This is one of my favorites. In this bath, Vrindadevi, who's described aptly as the keeper of the Vrindavan forest, she lifted an emerald pot high in the air and said to Radharani, with this sixth abhishek, I bathe your 6 limbs and request that with the 6 qualities of a monarch, you protect this transcendental forest of 6 seasons. Now the 6 limbs are the head, shoulders, chest, torso, legs, and feet. And the 6 attributes of a monarch, I had to search for this. The 6 attributes of a monarch are people, troops, wealth, forts, counsel, and friends. And my favorite, the 6 seasons of Vrindavan. Listen to this. The joy of monsoon, the pleasure of autumn, the satisfaction of winter, the happiness of the dewy season, the beauty of spring, and the auspicious season of summer. I have to recite that again. Vrindadevi referred to the 6 seasons. The joy of monsoon, the pleasure of autumn, the satisfaction of winter, the happiness of the dewy season, the beauty of spring, and the auspicious season of summer. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Then the water falling from Vrinda's pot turned yellow-black like honey as it flowed over Shri Radha's hair, white like milk as it touched her face, and it foamed like a waterfall as it cascaded over her limbs. I guess we don't have time to recite everything twice. I'm going to do it. The water falling from Vrindadevi's pot turned yellow-black like honey as it flowed over Shri Radha's hair, white like milk as it touched her face, and it foamed like a waterfall as it cascaded down her transcendental limbs. Now at this point, I was reading, Krishna was watching, and as a result, he was so absorbed, he went into ecstasy, and he started trembling. And noticing this, the cowherd boy Kinkini spoke up. Now first I want to explain that the word, or the name Kinkini, refers to small bells like ankle bells or waist bells. So listen to this carefully. Kinkini says, Krishna, your trembling causes your waist bells and ankle bells to ring so loudly that I, your little bell, have become unnecessary. Should I go away? Your trembling causes your waist bells and ankle bells to ring so loudly that I, Kinkini, your little bell, have become unnecessary. Should I go away? Oh, Vrindavan Dham ki jai ho. These are where our real emotions should lie. Take some time. Then Madhumangal, also seeing Krishna trembling, he said, Friend, you are warmly dressed. Why then do you tremble in the same way as Radha, who's covered in wet bathing clothes in the open air? Her shivering is understandable. I don't know about yours. Why are you trembling? Number 7, seventh bath. Then the youngest gopis began to bathe Srimati Radharani from water from a yellow sapphire pot. Now seeing this, the women from the 7 upper planetary systems turned pale from ecstasy. Now how do we understand this? They're so far away. So far away. They're in the 7 upper planetary systems. So how do we understand this? It's a little subtle, but it's written that, quote, Radha's authority extends to all corners of the universe. And so residents throughout the 14 planetary systems felt as if the water splashing over Radha was nectar pouring over their own limbs. So these particular ladies, they're 7 upper planetary systems, but Radha's dominion goes over 14. Be that as it may, all the residents throughout the 14 planetary systems felt as if the water splashing over Radha was nectar pouring over their own limbs. Whew, they went pale. Ecstasy. Now we arrive at the 8th. I'm trying to go slow because there's only 9 baths. The 8th bath was given by gopis who first blessed Shri Radha with the words, this is so nice, may this abhishek protect Vrindavan, conquer the pride of Chandravali, and broadcast your glories, Srimati Radharani, throughout the universe. We now arrive at the 9th and final abhishek. For the 9th and final abhishek, Radha's dear friends like Madhurika, such a beautiful name, Madhurika and others, they brought water in a rare and valuable pot decorated with golden, brilliantly shining Gomeda gems. Now some accounts say that the pots were made of these jewels. Other accounts I read, the pots are decorated. Be that as it may, these are amazing pots full of the water from the lake, from the hands, you remember, of the personified Jamuna River and the Ganges and Saraswati and the divine perspiration of Purnamasi. This is all the water that's being used with this golden effulgence. So these very dear friends of Radharani, they have brought forth this particular pot of brilliantly shining Gomeda gems. So soon, everyone present, including Radha, became aware that this unprecedented event was about to draw to a close. So at that moment, it's written, Radha and Krishna managed to finally steal a loving glance towards each other. And it said that During that loving exchange, the opulences of the Vrindavan forest themselves transformed into nectar, and the gopis also used that nectar to bathe Sri Radha. Then it goes even deeper. Shastra says, yet as great as it was, when this glorious liquid cascaded over Radha's delicate features, her unmatched touch imparted to it a fresh, effervescent virtue that caused it to bubble and fizz with ecstasy. Yet as great as this liquid was, this glorious liquid, cascading over Radha's delicate features, her unmatched touch imparted to it a fresh, effervescent virtue that caused it to bubble and fizz with ecstasy. Whew. Now, as the Brajabasis watched this ninth bath, they were amazed. And Subal, when he turned to look at Krishna's face, only to find Krishna being, it's described, bathed by his own tears with Sri Radha reflected in his eyes. Bathed by his own tears with Sri Radha reflected in his eyes. It's also said that spellbound by the silent beauty of Radharani's eyes and eyebrows, Krishna could not hear a thing. Krishna could not hear a thing. Hare Krishna. So with the bathing ceremony complete, the gopis, goddesses, Gandharvas, and all the women of Vrindavan, not to mention Krishna, eagerly anticipated seeing Sri Radha finely dressed and ornamented as their queen, as the queen of Vrindavan. And Srila Jiva Goswami is so kind, he gives us insight into the mind of Krishna. Just imagine, how wonderful is this movement, that we have access somehow to hearing the thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Jiva Goswami says, Krishna thought, number one, what wonders will the rest of this coronation hold? What marvels, number two, what marvels will Radha's ceremonial dress and royal crown reveal? And number three, and how will she appear when finally seated on her throne? So, after all the bathing's been done, Radharani's gopis guided her from the bathing throne. It's described to another magnificent seat. And there they surrounded her, forming a curtain to screen her from sight. They are like the curtain, all the gopis. And it's described their bodily effulgences lit up the enclosure so that they could attend to their duties. Circle is a lot of gopis, so perhaps not a lot of sunlight could get in, but they could do their duties, which is to dry and to dress Srimati, because of their own effulgence. Remember, we read in the spiritual world that everything is self-effulgent. So there they dried Sri Radha and clothed her in a dress prepared especially for a queen. And so as not to disappoint them, Sri Radha invested her full potency in the dress that she had been offered. As such, its embroidered swans immediately came to life and cooed in concert with the tinkling of her ankle bells. So as not to disappoint them, Sri Radha invested her full potency in the dress she had been offered. As such, its embroidered swans immediately came to life and cooed in concert with the tinkling of her ankle bells. So Srimati Radharani then accepted a delicate sash for her waist, scented with perfumes like musk. And like her complexion, the sash gave off a soft reddish glow that revealed her heart's feelings and radiated love for Krishna. Now, of course, Krishna and the Brajabasis were not able to see Sri Radha, but they could see radiating from behind the gopi screen that golden effulgence, tinged with red, emanating from Sri Radha's form, which pleased and pacified their eyes and hearts. So then the gopis, they profusely decorated Sri Radha with flower ornaments. Again, we see how important are flowers in our Vrindavan culture. Flowers. They decorated her with flower ornaments. Thus she appeared like a floral goddess of Vrindavan, making the nearby trees shudder in bliss. She appeared like a floral goddess of Vrindavan, making the nearby trees shudder in bliss. Then with Radharani's, dressing and ornamentation complete, this circle of gopis stood aside in one smooth motion. Like, we were getting ready for the opening of the deities, the deity darshan. So the curtain, one smooth motion. So like that, this circle of gopis. And as everyone saw Srimati Radharani dressed as their queen, and of course understanding her very deep spiritual nature and her love for Krishna for her, it caused the onlookers, Jiva Goswami describes, to burst forth in applause. Now what happens next, Prabhus, is actually beyond description. How Vrindavan's new queen is received by her subjects, the Brajabasis, how they come forward with a multitude of gifts for her. I promise you, hearing such loving exchanges, even though we're just still aspiring devotees, it's going to melt your heart. It's nothing like you've ever heard before. So are you ready? So all that and more I will share with you in our next lecture, entitled Srimati Radharani's Coronation, Part 3. Oh, Maharaj, yes, we want to give you some hankering for Krishna consciousness. This is the whole point of this katha, actually, is to purify our hearts and gradually, as the years go by, as the lives go by, perhaps awaken our love for the divine couple. But that hankering has to be stronger than our hankering for anything and everything in this world. So I'm going to leave you hankering for more, and also to digest all that. Yes, to digest all of that. So we'll come back. I have the treasure chest behind me, and I have to dive in and pick out the particular jewels and analyze them as Srila Prabhupada has taught us, hear from our previous acharyas, and then in my humble service to all of you. So please don't be angry with me, just bless me. So I would like to conclude today with the words of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami from his illustrious Govinda Lilamritam, chapter 8, text 77, which attests to the fact that Krishna is indeed very much subservient to Srimati Radharani as the Queen of Vrindavan, as we're seeing. Actually, as his queen as well, which we heard in a previous lecture. So this is very beautifully described, shown in this, it's a passage actually. Here, Shri Radha is inquiring from Vrinda Devi. So Shri Radha says, "Oh, my beloved friend Vrinda, where are you coming from?" And Vrinda replies, "Oh, I am coming from the feet of Shri Hari." Radha says, "Where is he?" And Vrinda replies, "In the forest, on the bank of Radhakund." Sri Radha says, "Oh, what is he doing there?" And Vrinda says, "Oh, he's learning how to dance." So Sri Radha says, "And who is his guru? Who is his dance teacher?" And Vrinda replies, "It is your image, Sri Radha, which is revealing itself in every tree and creeper in Vrindavan. Your image is roaming like a skillful dancer in every direction as Krishna dances behind you." Hare Krishna. One last thing, please. Aratra shkalitam kinchit vidvam shapura yantutat yat ata shash tavam kinchit tad guror evame nahi. Quote, "If there were any mistakes in what I spoke, may the kind and learned devotees correct me and purify it. However, if there was anything nice in whatever I spoke, please know that it belongs to my Guru. It does not belong to me." Okay, please, if there were any mistakes in what I spoke, may the kind and learned devotees correct me and purify it. However, if there was anything nice in whatever I spoke, please know that it belongs to my Guru, Srila Prabhupada. It does not belong to me. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you, Prabhu, so much. I'll be back with part 3. Maybe we'll even have a part 4. And beyond that, there's so much more to discover in our beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. See you soon. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radhashama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani ki, the 12 forests of Vrindavan ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, the Padam Gatim Goloka Vrindavan Dham ki, Jai Jai Sisi Radhe, Shyam Shyam Shyam. All glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.